Welcome to Planet Vero Radio. It's time now for a visit with our friends from Compass Pest Control. Brian Combs and Chris Hudman. Hi, guys.
Hey, Sally.
Hey, Sally.
Welcome to the studio.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us in.
So let's go ahead and get started talking about, I think we want to talk a little bit about your background this time and tell us more about why you're so qualified to handle all the pest control issues people have in Indian River County and beyond.
Well, Sally, I guess I'll start off today. First and foremost, I was born here, so that's where my background started, I guess. And since then, I went to high school and got out and started in the lawn and landscaping industry and worked in a lot of the elite communities over here on the Barrier Island and got a good background with plants and insects and how they affect one another and how they do during the seasons and what you should expect them to look like spring, summer, fall. And with that experience, I took that and I kind of gravitated into the pest control industry. Let me say this. I also did a lot of irrigation maintenance. That also has a big effect on how our plants and grass grow. I didn't want to keep that out, but I did gravitate into the pest control industry. I worked for a few years with Hewlett and a very large company, a good company. I found a better opportunity down back here. I did move away. I found a better opportunity back here in Indian River County, so I came back. And since then, I worked with Bugmaster for quite a few years. And unfortunately, they did sell at some point. And after that, I started my own company. And I think I was ready at that point to actually run a company and move on. And I've done very well since then. And Compass has been going for 2 years strong, and I have since, teamed up with Brian, and we're moving forward with Compass now.
Well, let's hear a little bit from Brian. Hi, Brian Combs of Compass Pest Control.
Hey, Sally. Well, I wasn't born in Vero, but I am a fifth-generation Floridian, so I've been in Florida a long time. I actually grew up in Gainesville and went to high school in Gainesville. Eventually went to the University of Florida. I don't know where else I would have gone since I grew up being a Gator. But I got my bachelor's degree in agriculture from the University of Florida, and then went on and got my master's degree in horticultural science. And came down here in about 1980, and I started out working at the University of Florida Research Station down in Fort Pierce, and I was a biologist down there for a few years. And then the extension job came open in Indian River County, which was really where I wanted to work. My main focus was in citrus at that time, and so I became the Indian River County extension agent. In Indian River County, we're one agent county. A lot of the bigger counties have an agent that may focus on horticulture and one commercial citrus and one in commercial nurseries, but we're kind of small here, and so there was only one agent. So I handled everything from the commercial citrus to the nurseries to the cattle to homeowner horticulture, which as the county grew became a bigger and bigger part of the job. And part of that job at that time in the mid-'80s was starting the Master Gardener program, and that was the extension service trying to better serve the public by training individuals who wanted to volunteer their time. They had to do 50 hours of volunteer work, and we would provide them training on insect identification and general horticulture and things, so that when somebody came in with a fairly simple problem, they could steer them in the right direction. And that was a program that continues today. I started that back in the mid-'80s, and it still continues today, the extension program. I left Extension in '85. I started my own landscaping company. We did installations, we did landscape maintenance, we did lawn spraying, fertilization, pest control. And that was just a natural extension of my education and background to do that. And it was a very successful company. I grew it to be one of the largest companies in the county at the time. And at that time, in 1999, I sold that company. And then a year later, I went to work at Bugmaster Pest Control. Richard Butella was the owner then. We talked and we saw a good fit for me there. And I stayed there until Bugmaster was sold in 2013 to a rather large company out of Atlanta. And after that, I was there a few months. And then we parted ways. And in November of last year, of 2014, Chris and I became partners. I joined him at Compass. When I was at Bugmaster, Chris was the lawn division manager under me there, and so felt very comfortable with his background and his education and his experience. And so we think that Compass offers, the old type of service. We're very service-oriented. We're very people-oriented. We're not stuffed into a little box on how to do things. And so we've been very successful in growing Compass over the last 2 years since Chris started. And, I would dare say we're probably one of the fastest growing companies in this area that provide just the pest control services. We don't do lawn maintenance. We don't mow. We don't trim trees. Although I am a certified arborist. I've been a certified arborist for almost 23 years now. My expertise is in tree biology and tree health. At one time, I did climb and trim trees, but that when I was a lot younger, and I don't do that anymore. But a lot of the tree companies will call us when they have tree health problems that they can't really figure out, and they call us for their clients to come try and solve their tree and especially palm problems. We're very good at palms. I would say we're actually very good palm experts in diagnosing palm problems. So,
well, my takeaway from this is that experience is really a very important part of the pest control industry. And there really isn't another alternative that offers the kind of experience that the two of you have. I mean, an interesting background and diverse education in this area. So I think that's very important. Why don't you tell us, impart a couple of stories from clients on how you've solved problems for them that others weren't able to solve?
Well, I would say there's almost a day that doesn't go by that we're not out there solving some problem, whether it be our own, but a lot of times we're called out where other companies fall short. They aren't implementing their technicians with the experience, or they're not putting a protocol in place when something's not working correctly to take a different look at it, and maybe a alternative application is in order. I was with a new prospective customer today, and he told me, I like this, the guy that we had. He's a nice guy. He's friendly. He's attentive. He always comes out. But he took us a year to get rid of an ant problem. I said, that's unbelievable. I said, I said, that's very nice of you to put up with it for a year. But most people aren't going to do that, nor would Compass want to have a customer dealing with any kind of issue for a year without some sort of solution or at least an explanation and maybe, a different direction. But that comes with time, and that comes with a local knowledge and an education and just having been in managerial aspects over the years and seeing these circumstances. Yes.
Managing in the specific industry for years, both of you.
Yeah, it's we still participate in a lot of seminars. We go to conferences constantly. Like any industry, technology and products and pests changed all the time. The pests we were dealing with 20 years ago are not the same pests we're dealing with today. especially in Florida where you have invasive insects, especially ant species coming in, new termite species. So part of my fundamental belief coming from a little bit of the academic side is that you always have to keep up with what's going on in the industry. So we are very strong believers in keeping up with the new products, the new services, the new techniques. We spend a lot of time and effort ourselves maintaining that education and then implementing that in the field. We have very strong relationships with all the technical people from the University of Florida and also from all the company representatives. So that's one of the things that we feel is a strong point of ours, is that we maintain that up-to-date type of science that helps us control pests.
And, one thing that I remember is that Bugmaster was very committed to educating their technicians. They had a very aggressive education program and gave their technicians a good foundation. And so you've brought that over now, since Bugmaster is no longer here, you've brought that over to Compass.
That we have, yes. And we both worked at Bugmaster. We took pride in working for that company, and obviously a lot of that's carried over, especially the things that we thought were almost, I would say, protocol in a lot of ways that other companies didn't gravitate to. Some people still go in houses and spray all the inside every other visit. We don't think that that's needed to apply product in the home unnecessarily each visit. That's just one example of ways that we've carried on and evolved into be a better company.
Yeah, and we maintain that same, what Bugmaster had was long-time relationships, and this area is not a big, large metropolitan area, and we feel it's important to maintain personal relationships with each and every one of our clients, and that's what we're trying to carry on, that tradition of that we want to give personalized service. We give everybody our personal cell phones. You can call Chris or I anytime you want. You have our cell phone numbers. We can usually guarantee a response. If you've got a problem, we're usually out there the same day or the next day. We had a call this morning, and it was an old customer that I'd had from Bugmaster, and they finally found out how to get in touch with me. They actually called Chris, and Chris gave me a number. I went out there today, and they had a problem in their house for 6 to 9 months that had been ongoing, and the other company just had not been able to solve it, and they were very frustrated. And so I immediately diagnosed the problem, and it really wasn't what they thought it was, and said, okay, this is what we have to do to solve it. And the people were very happy to have me back, because in the past I had given them that personal service that they wanted from a pest control company. And so that's what we're trying to carry on, to give that personal service, to build relationships. Anybody can have a large company and have a lot of employees. That's not the goal. Our goal is to give exceptional service, and I think that's what we're doing right now.
And that's very evident. Chris pointed out to me that he identified some points of entry for potential rodents at a townhome that our family owns. And boy, that sort of preventative input means so much. That you can stop it before it happens.
And it does. And that's another thing that us as a company, and myself and Brian, when we go to a property, whether we're there for a sales call or just a consultation, we see things that can affect whether it be our industry or other things that can affect your home, whether the drip lines are too close to the house for the air conditioner, rodent entry points, limbs that are on your home that should be either a hurricane cut away and or an area where pests could enter onto the structure and get inside. These are all things that we like to take note of that aren't really typical things.
Pest control services.
Yeah, and things that other companies just wouldn't take note to.
Well, now, at this time of year, we're getting an awful lot of rain. Are there particular pests that emerge as a result of that?
I would say there's anything that is exceptional this time of year. We're coming to the end of the summer. Certainly in the lawn, chinch bug populations have been building up all summer if they have not been treated. There are a lot of people are experiencing problems controlling them. They have become resistant to many of the products that we've used in the past. Many of the older products are no longer available. So you just can't treat it and say the problem's done. As Chris was saying, he went out there today that somebody's had a problem for almost a year with chinch bugs. Well, that's just totally unacceptable. You cannot let a problem go that long, and now most of the yard is destroyed.
Yes.
One thing you may see is when it rains a lot, sometimes many of the ant species will send up reproductives, which are winged form of ants. People mistake some of these for termites, but ants do produce a winged form. Almost every ant colony does that, and those are the ones that are flying up to start new colonies. But they will get in a house also, or they get in the pool. So and they like this wet weather. Actually, the rain is pretty beneficial for our landscape plants, but you've got plus and minuses. When you get excessive rain in shady areas or areas that don't drain very well, many times the plants will stay waterlogged, and then you can develop problems. Also, a lot of times people are mowing the yards when they're too wet, and they can run ruts in them or spin the grass out. So although the rain is beneficial, it also can cause some problems with plants and with just cultural practices going on in the yard.
Well, at my house, we're on both the lawn and home prevention program, and I'll tell you honestly, my lawn has never looked better. I just commented to my husband the other day, look at how healthy that thick bed of grass looks now. It's better than ever in the 30 years we've lived in our house.
We're glad to hear that, and that's the kind of thing we want to hear from all our customers. Right.
And the one thing we may just mention here is that currently we're in a blackout period for fertilization for nitrogen and phosphorus, and several people have misunderstood these fertilizer blackouts. It doesn't mean you cannot apply fertilizer. It only means you cannot apply nitrogen or phosphorus. So all the other elements such as potash or iron and magnesium and manganese, all those can be applied during the June through September fertilizer blackout period. And then when October comes around, we can start applying nitrogen again to the yards.
Well, at this point, let's make sure to give your contact information. How about phone numbers, please?
You can reach me, Chris Hudman, 772-413-1647.
And my number is 772-766-9098. Or you can always find us at the web. It's Compass Pest, that's PESTS.com.
Stick with us. We'll be right back on Planet Vero Radio.